these are, I think, notes you said you sometimes sort of send yourself an email or make notes through Outlook or your email program about things that are going on. So on page 20, this is a call, sort of reporting on a call. I'm not sure whether it was a call you made to Yasser Naqvi or a call that he made to you. Do you recall?
I remember it was a phone call. I forget who contacted who.
Okay, so this is January 31st. So I guess is that the Monday or?
It's a Monday, yes.
Yes, the Monday, okay. And he was contacting you because he's an MP in the Ottawa area?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and he also was asking how he could help?
Yes, I mean, I think it was both a situation update and what can we do to help you, Peter?
Okay. And do you know, was he going to engage with his network within the federal government to see what he could do? Was this the sort of first outreach from someone within the federal government?
Other than my communications with Commissioner Lucky, I think this was the first time I'd spoken with anybody else.
Okay, so the sort of the first political person, let's say, within the federal government.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And if we can just scroll down, I think it's the next page. Thank you. This is a call from the Deputy Solicitor General of Ontario, Mr. D. Tomaso.
Yes, that's correct.
And this is from February 2nd. If you could just scroll down a little bit. So he asked you if there was any interference of hospital or medical staff from the demonstration, and you advised yes. He asked if you were getting help from the OPP, and you advised yes, and that you were also getting support from the local Crown office. And you also told him that other than the OPP commissioner, he was the first provincial official to call you regarding the demonstration. Do you recall how or if he responded to that statement?
He did respond, and he asked if I would like to have a call with then Solicitor General Jones. And
okay.
I said yes.
Okay, and did that call happen?
It did. I think it was scheduled for later on the same day, somewhere in the evening hours, I believe. And
I mean, were you making that statement because you were surprised that by this point, I guess February 2nd, we're at the Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
Yes.
That
by that point, were you surprised you hadn't heard from someone at the provincial level yet?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall where things went with Minister Jones with the Solicitor General when you did eventually speak to her?
There's probably notes around that, but I think that the sum total of the call was that she had received the information from Deputy Solicitor General Di Tomaso that is noted here. She had understood that I was interested in a phone call.
Which one?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is again Ms. Huno's notes, and this is looking at the February 3rd meeting in the evening with Mr. Kanellakos, Mr. Stewart, Kevin Maloney, Commissioner Lucky, David Vigneault is at this meeting. I'm not sure what that middle name is, Press. I don't know if you know, that's fine. So I just want to, if we can scroll down just a little bit. So there's the Prime Minister's office, wants to open up a line of communication here. And I'll give you a moment to read through this. I'm going to ask you about a particular part. There's a note understanding we've avoided the worst, but now dealing with illegal protesters. We are risking public confidence to solve this problem. Government wants to be helpful, but has limits. What can we do? If we were going to engage, then who would we engage with? There's questions about bylaw and the Highway Traffic Act enforcement. Can we scroll down a little bit more, please? Yeah, keep going. I know that, so there's a bit, something from Mr. Kanellakos. A little bit, next page, please, sorry. Okay. And then sorry, can you scroll down just a little bit more? So these are, I think, RS refers to Mr. Stewart. And he's asking about enforcement and what leverage do you have? And this is the note that your counsel has written. If you want an assessment of risk of this demonstration, please frame the questions properly so you can get the info you need. Don't appreciate you suggesting I police differently based on color. And I think Mr. Stewart is saying that, or there's a reference that a minister said this. Your observation is very insulting to me. And he's, I think, saying, I hear you. And then you're providing him with a briefing about the risk assessment. Do you recall this exchange and what this was about?
Very much so.
Do you mind telling us about it?
This was the first of the. There you go.
And I'll let you read this, Mr. Slowly. It's just starting at the part that says BB, which is Minister Blair. Then there's a brief response from the mayor, and then there's a paragraph indicating your response to Minister Blair.
Oh, thank you. This is hugely clarifying, and that's why I was hoping to be able to read the whole document the first time. But so this would be the one and only time I did speak to the two. Well, I was on a call with the two ministers, and it does relate to the conversation that I had with Minister Blair. Could I just read the document now, though, because it is refreshing my memory?
This is my only area of questioning, and I have 5 minutes, so I'm content if the commissioner is content to give you the time to look at that.
Okay, thank you. Could someone just scroll back up to the top of this, and I'll just read through it then. Sorry, can you just go up a little bit further, please? Okay, thank you. Just, yep, even further then, please. And these are all notes from within the same meeting?
Yes.
Okay, please go further. Up to the very top, please. Sorry, I just need to know when I come into this meeting because I recall coming in part way. Okay, keep going. Okay, keep going now, please. Stop there. Okay, thank you.
Counsel to former Chief Slowly. I just have a few questions that I'm going to ask you to help.
And you are?
Tom Curry, sorry. I left that part out. Thank you, Commissioner.
The voice would have given an indication which council, but I think there are three, so it
Yes.
doesn't say everything.
Thank you. Chief Slowly, a few things for you, please. Chair Deans of the Police Services Board has told the Commissioner that when you became chief of this police service, she described as the honeymoon period was very short. Do you agree with her?
It was here, yes.
And counsel for the OPS has raised a number of issues about trust and confidence among the members of the command staff, including some issues raised in notes that he took you to, including a conversation that you had, I believe, recorded with a meeting with Chair Deans, February 14th.
Sue, and probably in hindsight, a healthy debate to have at that point of forming, storming, norming around a very new escalation in integration. But the feedback as I was giving was they might not like our plan, but there is a plan. They might think our plan is too aggressive, but there is a plan. And if you hear from other sources that there isn't a plan, well, there is a plan. That's the context around which I'm giving that information.
Right, and was there anything in particular that they thought was too aggressive about the plan?
Again, I think it was the concept of a nighttime public order operation at one of the sites. There were other, you don't have enough POU resources. Have you used PLT all the way? There was a range of issues that were raised and I think are documented in chief and one or both of those OPP officers. And there was an intervention.
I want to ask you some questions about an exchange that you were asked about again concerning between the two commissioners, Commissioner Lucky and Commissioner Creek. OPP 4583, please. Page 3 and 4. Just, thank you. If we could just stop there. You've seen this exchange, and correcting for the hour of the day, Commissioner of the RCMP writes, between you and I only, the government of Canada is losing lost confidence in OPS. That's written on February 5th. Did you know about this at the time?
No, I didn't, sir.
Did you know what lay behind the loss of confidence, if indeed that was accurate, that is expressed here by the Commissioner of the RCMP to the Commissioner of the OPP?
No, and when I take GOC, I take that to mean Government of Canada, that the entire Government of Canada had lost support, or was losing lost support, confidence in the OPS. It's quite a statement.
Could you scroll down, Mr. Registrar, please? Exchange continues with Commissioner Carrique describing that looks like he reached out to you. We're going to assume that you're the Peter there for a call. Are you free for a call? And then the Commissioner of the RCMP writes, nope, still on the call with ministers. And then please scroll down. Just stop there, thank you. Trying to calm them down, but not easy when they see cranes, structures, horses, bouncing castles in downtown Ottawa. Just stopping there, to the extent that the concern from the Government of Canada is expressed at the level of ministers observing the circumstances on Wellington Street, would that concern have been shared by you and every other person affected in Ottawa?
Yes, sir.
Now, sticking with, thank you for that one. Sticking then, please, just with Commissioner Carrique now for a moment. I want to show you OPP 4586. And Mr. Registrar, it's page 5. I believe you spoke to Council about this. You exchanged messages with Commissioner Carrique by text and email and other forms of communication, calls and so on. I want to ask you about this one, February 6th. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
This is to you from Commissioner Carrique. Good morning, Peter, or GM Peter. Good morning. A beyond difficult day yesterday. Here for you. If you personally or OPS need anything this morning before the 11 a.m. meeting or in general. Then just scroll down. You describe back to him you're getting a 10 a.m. briefing. Then we'll let know if any new resource needs, and you say thank you to him. And then he writes back to you, and I believe that I'm not going to take you to it, but I believe the briefing to which this is a reference, the Commissioner will learn, is a briefing of the larger group, federal and provincial representatives, including the two commissioners and so on. Commissioner Carrique writes to you, outstanding briefing this morning, Peter. Thanks for representing us all so well. You've got this, and you continue to have our unwavering support. Did you receive that message from the Commissioner?
Yes, sir, I did.
In his discussions with you, did Commissioner Carrique continue to support your command through to the end of your term?
Yes, he did.
And in your discussions with Commissioner Lucky, did she convey the same thing, that you had her support? Of communication specialists of the caliber of a firm like Navigator.
I can't remember if I provided it in statement or in evidence in chief, but throughout my tenure as chief, my performance evaluations by the HR committee of the board were always outstanding. The one area that they wanted me to continue to try to push on was the services capability for corporate communications broadly, crisis communications specifically. While I explained that was a function of a lack of staffing and a lack of budget to fill staffing, our inability to recruit that type of quality communications into the organization. It was going to take far too long for us to build that capability organically through HR processes. And if they felt that we needed to make a leap, then we would have to procure those services. The board was very much supportive of that, particularly going into the long budget battle that was 2021. And so I made a recommendation, in, I believe in a public board meeting, that the board consider a procurement for a firm of Navigators Quality. And I was granted approval by the board to pursue that with the condition that they would support both the board and the Ottawa Police Service. Through the procurement process, Navigator was signed on. That was to help us with a very high-risk, high-profile, controversial joint board service initiative to address workplace sexual harassment, workplace sexual violence and harassment in the Ottawa Police Service, systemic misogyny, to be clear. And Navigator was contracted to come in to support the board and the service around internal and external communications. When the convoy events arrived here, I recommended to the board that we continue the contract with Navigator to support both the board and the service around communications and crisis communications.
My friend again from the Ottawa Police Service asked you to, showed you an invoice that actually was delivered after you had left office, but had you remained as chief of the police service, once this convoy event was over, would you also have ended the mandate that was the procurement for assisting in that respect?
No, until I had probably had the conversation I would have had, Commissioner, was through that unified command structure. To what extent would Navigator support that unified command structure, and particularly the communications component of it? If there was no need for any further supports from Navigator to the incident command, unified command, then I would have ended Navigator's participation in that.
Policing partner and other policing partners.
Yes, sir. Both Navigator and ASI were referenced in my tri-level meetings, where all three levels of government were present. And in both occasions, I offered their services to any of those levels or any of those parties if they thought.
To a number of people, I'm not going to get the ranks right, but you can see that it's a senior command, it's Superintendent, or perhaps at that time Inspector Bernier.
Actually, the two line is to Sergeant Louis Carvalho, who's an outstanding frontline supervisor and was one of the two supervisors for the Ottawa Police Service PLT.
Thank you.
On the same line, I've put Mark Patterson, who then was the event commander.
And you wrote, thank you for this. You and the PLT members are invaluable. We are still learning how best to work with you, integrate you, leverage you, support you. Please be patient and continue your great work. Be safe and be well. You sent that to the team?
Yes, sir.
Same question. Did it express your view and attitude towards PLT and its work?
Absolutely. And beyond this email, I went.
Now, are you aware of why he left his position with the POU or anything that was expressed either in writing or otherwise?
My ceremonial sergeant major, Steve Boucher, was the one that gave me the information that he was frustrated with what was happening, something to do with the turnover within the incident command team, and that his position was no longer valid or valued enough, but I never got any more details than that.
Counsel for the OPS also asked you about your meeting on. Go down, please. So do you see the notation that starts with very little political support to get us supports or resources? If we don't change that dynamic, we'll get nothing. Now they've sent their team to support us over 30 days. Their political masters don't think OPS did their jobs, and we won't bail out. They don't have a plan. They then will go publicly that, and then I guess that's a equal signs with a slash, so that doesn't equal leadership, and they will take it from us. That's the best I can make from the handwritten notes. Now, I want to ask you to comment on the quality or the accuracy of these notes?
Well, Christiane, you know, as many things, I don't know if she was ever trained on being a scribe, but she's certainly capable of taking a lot of notes and has proven so, not just in these events. But just what particular are you looking for the accuracy?
No, just because these are notes of the same meeting that counsel for the OPS had asked you, and your answer to Mr. Majkowski's questions were based on your questioning of Deputy Chief Ferguson's notes. So I want to take you to a different set of notes and ask you to comment on what happened at that meeting. Do these notes accurately reflect what happened at that meeting, the things that were said?
Yes, they're more accurate reflections, sir, yes.
Okay. Those are my questions. My colleague, Ms. Rodriguez, will have more.
Again, just, sorry, the
Counsel for the OPS asked you the questions this morning.
thank you, sir.
Hi, Mr. Slowly again. I do have some clarification questions that arose from your questioning today. I wanted to take you first to OPS 30-14565. Now, counsel for the City of Ottawa took you to this document and asked you some questions. And these are your notes of February 9. And I want to take you to the fifth bullet point. Sorry, fifth from the redacted portion. Important for mayor to know, so this is now a phone call with the mayor, Steve Kanellakis, Serge Arpin at about 2:20. And this is your side of the conversation as recorded by the scribe. Important for mayor to know, until this is fixed in Ottawa, this will continue in other areas in the province. If mayor hears anywhere that we don't have a plan, we have a plan. They think we have a too aggressive of a plan here. So I wanted to ask you about that part. My understanding is that 12:10 or so, there was a meeting with respect to the 3.0 plan. And so when you say they think we have too aggressive of a plan here, I assume the they in that sentence is OPP and RCMP. Is that right?
The integrated planning team that are,
Reciprocal information exchange must exist, and I'm going to kind of condense it a little bit for time, to ensure that each obtain information relevant to their respective roles. The board will be provided with operational information that will inform its policymaking function, and the chief of police will have an opportunity to provide his or her views on policy options the board is considering. With this exchange, both policies and operations may be adjusted to address changing circumstances. And so the first step is really exchange of information. Now, the critical point is the second element, which seeks specific operational information from the chief of police where a critical categories. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't believe they did, and even if they did, the ability for us to slow the world down in order to have a policy discussion, I don't think would have been practical.
With these established, the Toronto Police Service can create specific operational plans that will outline how the policing missions and objectives will be achieved. The Toronto Police Service must always maintain its autonomy to make and execute particular decisions during the operation. The board should review the Toronto Police Service's operational plans to ensure they are consistent with the mission or objectives stated by the board and that they have the benefit of an adequate policy framework. So if I'm understanding correctly, your view is that that doesn't apply to this situation, correct?
Again, if I understand everything that's in this paragraph and where it fits into the larger structure of the Morden report, if I understand that
Point arises. And now, according to Morden, this is specific policing operations, such as a gun and gang operation, events such as, for example, a G20, or organizationally significant issues. And so I would put to you that the events that happened in January and February of 2022 in the convoy was a critical point that the board should have been involved with at an operational level. Would you agree that that's contemplated in Morden?
no, I wouldn't. And even with this information in front of me, I mean, if what Morden is considering, first of all, Morden is a report. It is not a statutory authority under the Police Services Act. So it's informative, but it's not instructive.
Folks, if you want to be kept up to date on what's happening at the Emergency Act inquiry, including my live tweets and some clips and highlights that occurring at the Emergency Act inquiry, by heading over to revolutionnews.ca/Emergency Act Commission. That's revolutionnews.ca/Emergency Act Commission. And of course, here folks, while you're there, please head over to donorbox.org/Emergency Act Commission. That's donorbox.org/Emergency Act Commission. And of course, here folks, if you could chip in a buck or two, that will be greatly appreciated, as it will help me cover my travel expenses, including my expenses on food, as bringing you these stories doesn't come for free. Thank you so much.